Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Stu on 2 here. So, I'm recording this at the start of July 2026. As some of you may know, last week in the UK was extremely hot, and other parts of Europe too. So today we're going to look at a few different ways of helping our comfort and concentration riding in the heat. So we're going to do a top 5. So stick with me and we'll run through the list. Okay, so as I mentioned, last week in the UK, I'm in Suffolk, and we got 37 degrees with relatively high humidity as well. Now that does cause a lot of problems for riding, comfort, concentration, safety, enjoyment. There's a whole bunch of factors we have to consider. So the first thing we're going to look at today, number 1 on our list, probably the most important, is clothing. What are we wearing on the bike? It can sound simple, but it can be different for everybody. One of the big things about being on a bike, yes, you can be safe, absolutely. You can wear all the layers in the world, the thickest armour, everything. But if you're uncomfortable, you could end up fidgeting on the bike, which I sometimes do. So we need to get that right, that balance basically. So for me, mesh gloves. These mesh gloves are great. They're Oxford gloves. As I go through the video, I'll pop some things on screen. That will give you an indication of what they are, what the kind of price is, things like that. But this is not a sponsored video. These are just a few things that I like. Yeah, so I've got some mesh gloves, Oxford ones. I've worn these in up to 40-degree heat actually in Eastern Europe last year. Fantastic gloves. I can actually really feel the airflow go through. So get airflow to your hands. That's really important. When your hands get really, really hot, they are the thing that control the bike. You need to feel comfortable. So gloves. A jacket. I have a vented jacket. My jacket is a Revit jacket. Again, it's an airflow, well, it's a jacket that helps the airflow go through. It is mesh. It's a fantastic thing. A mesh jacket is a huge difference. I would advise anyone to get a mesh jacket. Same with trousers. Get some mesh trousers. Really, really comfortable again. Now, when it's really hot, you could find maybe around the seated area could get a little sore if you're sweating, which you probably would be because it's still going to be hot. So just wear something underneath if you just fancy a more comfort, but don't have to if you're fine without it. I've also got, which I use quite a lot actually, some Spada jeans. They are really good in the heat. They're comfortable. They're quite tightish, but they stretch. And the great thing about them is you can take the knee armour in or out from the outside of the jean. There's basically a pocket that the armour goes in. So I would definitely recommend that. Then if you're meeting someone casually, going for a coffee or something, you ride your bike with the armour in, you arrive, you can take the armour out. So if you're sitting and it's hot, you don't have that heat and itchiness and uncomfortableness on the knees just when you're sitting down. Speaking of armour, I have replaced all my armour, whether it's my jacket or my trousers, with Ghost armour, D30's Ghost armour. I think it's double or potentially AAA rated. I can check on that. It's very, very safe, but it's very thin, very light, very flexible. It's by far the most comfortable armour I've used. So I would definitely recommend that. I'll pop that on screen so you can have a look at that. But it's something that I really, really like. I do fidget on a bike. If my knees get hot with thick, bulky armour, I'm going to be moving around on the bike a bit too much. Okay, then other things, footwear. I'm okay with my normal boots. I can wear them in the winter or the summer. I don't have a huge issue with getting hot feet. A lot of people do. You can get airflow boots, absolutely. A few other things, helmet. Think about the helmet. On the helmet, make sure you remove the chin curtain. It just helps with airflow massively. So give these things a try. There's nothing, unique or different there, but it's finding what works for you. For me, it's just about getting airflow, being comfortable, but maintaining that level of safety. So that's the first one. Clothing, what you're wearing on the bike. Okay, then number 2. Number 2, extremely important again, staying hydrated, keeping hydrated. It's not just a simple case of drinking lots of water. Again, we've got to think about the riding itself when it's possible to do that. So of course you need to be drinking water. The only way to really be hydrated is taking water on board. That's incredibly important. But there's some other things we can do with that as well. On a bike we sweat, we will sweat. We might not feel it so much if there's a lot of airflow, but we will be sweating, we will be dehydrating ourselves. We need our electrolytes, sodium, we need that in the body. So make sure you've got some salt. You're taking on board salt. Some electrolyte tablets are great. You can have the electrolyte tablets, drop them just into a bottle of water when you stop, and that will help. That will help the concentration. It will help your cognitive function, I am pretty sure. We need to make sure that we have the correct levels of sodium in our body, that we stay properly hydrated in the correct way. Also, let's think about it. I'm 44 now, so if I drink 2 litres of water before getting on a bike, I'm going to feel that very soon, and I'm going to want to stop. So I plan to stop, particularly when it's hot, about every hour. I don't necessarily need to ride more than an hour before I stop. Just take a few sips of water, keep that regular flow coming in. If you're riding for 2 hours without a stop in hot weather, doesn't matter how much how much water you take on board. After that hour, maybe 90 minutes, your body's gonna start showing signs of dehydration. Dehydration's a killer for motorcycling. It's bad enough for driving in a car, but on a bike we need our senses, we need our wits about us, we need our brain to be functioning, our response times to be functioning, reaction times to be functioning. Being hydrated is massively important. I don't see any reason why I can't stop. 60 to 90 minutes max. There's no reason not to, even if it's a 5-minute stop. And it's good to reset the brain as well. So yes, when I'm traveling, I will take something in the road there. I will take, always have a bottle of water in the top box. Obviously I can stop at petrol stations and get that. And some hydration tablets as well. Or you can just get an isotonic drink that will do the same thing. So that's number 2, keeping hydrated, but keeping hydrated in the correct way. So that's number 2. Okay, so number 3. It goes a little bit back to clothing, but it's not necessarily the clothing we're wearing, it's how we're wearing the clothing or what we're doing to it. A really good tip someone gave to me years and years ago is basically dampen your clothing, or even just make it wet. So I often kind of wear a neck scarf when I'm riding, just for comfort. It's just a very thin one as well. But someone mentioned to me once, just soak it, pour water all over it, and it's brilliant. It works so well in the heat. So the neck scarf, you think, okay, that's going to add heat, but if it's covered in water and it's wet, that's going to take sweat off the skin. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to remove sweat from the skin so we can cool down. That's why humidity is so bad, because our body cannot get rid of this sweat. So yes, soak the neck scarf and you'll have it around your neck and it'll be cool. It'll feel cool, especially with a bit of airflow. It'll feel cool. Even a t-shirt underneath. Have a cotton t-shirt. If you have a cotton t-shirt, you can just dampen it, or even just make it absolutely soaking wet in the morning. Pop a mesh jacket over it, and that water that's retained in the material against your skin will cool you down massively. So if you're happy to just soak all of your clothes in cold water, it'll dry relatively quickly, but then you can just, at a petrol station, maybe just soak it again. And it makes a huge difference. It just keeps that outside body temperature cooler. It just keeps the sweat away from sitting on the skin, and it helps us regulate our body temperature. So use water again, but use it on the clothing. Okay, number 4 is think about the bike we are on. What can we do to the bike to help us stay cool? As you can see, I've got this big screen in front of me. Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest, it doesn't really keep the wind off me much, which I don't mind that. I'm on a motorbike, I'm outside, I want to know I'm outside. We'll just get around this turn. And that's fine for me, because what it does mean, it creates a lot of airflow. Now the position I've got it is probably the most amount of airflow, but it's clean air, so it doesn't buffet me. I used to have a naked bike with a little fly screen on it, and the fly screen was fantastic because it would just keep the cold air off my chest, which was great. But in the summer, I want that cold air on my chest, so I would take it off. I also had a sports tourer, like I had a Triumph Sprint 955. I love that old bike. I had different screens. I had a normal sport screen, I suppose you would say, which didn't keep a huge amount of wind off, and I had a touring screen that did. So again, in the summer, I'd always have the smaller screen on, get that airflow from the bike. You know, we're travelling through the air, we need as much as possible in the heat. That can just help, again, regulate our body temperature. Again, if you're on a Goldwing or something like that, that can be difficult because you're so cocooned, and it's a fantastic thing in bad weather, cold weather. But if you're not getting that airflow, you're just going to overheat. So really look at your bike, think of the things you can do. Wind deflectors as well. Some bikes have wind deflectors. Take the wind deflectors off. Airflow, that's one of the biggest things. So think about the bike you're on. Think about the adjustments you can make to increase that airflow. Okay, and lastly, number 5. Simple in theory, not so easy, especially if you're touring. But think about what time and when you're riding. This is really important. Again, checking the forecast as well. So firstly, if you're riding between, say, midday and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's the hottest part of the day. It's going to be tough. Sometimes you don't have a choice, especially when you're touring. You leave a hotel, you check out at 11, you've got a 4-hour ride, but you can't check in till 3, so you might think, oh, I'll use those 4 hours between check out and check in to ride. But if it's going to be nearly 40 degrees, that's not the best time. So maybe have a look at some places you could potentially go and arrive early. So for example, leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, your 4-hour ride, you get there at 10 o'clock. The check-in time might not be 2 or 3. Maybe have a look in the local area, see what's around where you can go indoors, you can sit, you can relax, you can have some lunch. You know, you can get a bit of air conditioning. Just a little bit of research, because just because you can't check in till 3 doesn't mean you have to arrive at 3. We're putting ourselves again in that situation where the heat can really, really affect our ability to ride, so we've got to be really, really careful there. Anyway, they're just a few tips. There are some things that I do. There's many more, obviously, so if there are ones that I've missed, which I'm 100% sure there are, let me know in the comments. Give me some more advice that other people watching this video, they're going to want some advice on what they can do to help stay safe on a bike. You know, we're always looking forward to the beautiful weather in the summer, and we love it, but we always forget when it gets too hot, especially in the UK. It's not in our nature really to expect plus 35 degree temperatures, but it's happening more and more these days, so we do need to be really careful. Yeah, so drop in the comments if you have any advice, any things I've missed out. I'd love to know. And yeah, just keep safe out there, keep hydrated, keep the airflow, and enjoy the riding. Make the most of the summer, but do it smart. Alright, thanks for watching guys, take care.